Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Dave Albert. In this show, I talk about technology, building a company as a CTO and co-founder, and have guests to discuss their roles in technology and entrepreneurship. Today, we're joined by Davy Engone, founder and head of engineering at Hackages. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Would you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Hackages, please?
Yeah. So my name is Davy, as you mentioned, and I'm a software engineer by training. I study computer science, and I've always been passionate by building stuff, trying to find my way around every single computer my father had at home. And but you are not allowed to use or to actually touch computers at home. Although my father is an engineer and he had tons of computer at home, but so I did. I just broke them all and then fixed them, and then and fast forward. A few years later, I went to study computer science. I actually study oil and gas engineering first, for a semester, and then I dropped out of that. I was no, I want to do computer science. So I went into a computer science school in France, in Paris. And for a few years, I worked as a consultant for many companies, industries, banking, automobile, and every single, industry you could imagine. And then, sometime in 2016, I started in 2014 with Hackages. It wasn't called Hackages, but the concept that I'm going to explain in a bit was already there. I was giving free workshop in evening, everything around JavaScript. I love JavaScript, TypeScript, Node.js, Angular, React, and then people liked those evening sessions. And they would invite me by day to give the same sessions at their workplace. So, and then I did that for about 2 years. And in September 2016, I officially incorporated a company that will support that activity on the long run. And it's been 3 years now. And Hackages grew a lot, and we're providing, it's not only just trainings, but we're providing to customers, to companies, we're providing a set of training programs that covers from a one-shot training. I want my team to become better in JavaScript. Send them to our lab for a few days, and you will get the better version of your team. Or coach your team over time. Don't send them to a one-shot training because technology changes over time. So we have that program where companies subscribe like a gym membership, and every now and then they get an update on whatever is interesting for their business. So we're kind of R&D company for our customers. Yeah, that's what Hackages is about.
Yeah, I was at one of the Hack Jam events, I think.
Hack Jam, yeah. Everything is hack at Hackages. Yeah.
And it was a really good session. You learned a good deal about the one I went to was React.
Yeah.
You learned a good deal about it very quickly. So it was well thought out and a nice program to kind of take you from not knowing very much about it through to understanding enough on how to continue your development, which was amazing for just a couple of hours of effort. So it was really nice.
Yeah.
So how many locations are you in, and where are your team all spread out?
Okay, so Hackages is started in Belgium. Mm-hmm. So in Brussels, we have a team of 20. Probably 30 people now in Belgium, as a company, and we also have an office in Amsterdam. So but we operate all over Europe. So the team now travels to Luxembourg, Paris, everywhere in Belgium, Amsterdam, and they go and train people in those city. Berlin, we've been in many places in Europe. So but offices wise, we only are in Brussels and Amsterdam. Yeah, but the majority of the engineers are Brussels based.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the idea is like, as a company, we challenge ourselves, saying, well, if we do X, Y, Z we achieve these X, Y, Z goals this year, let's just open an office in Luxembourg, or let's open an office in France, and those are the kind of things we do. And I think maybe next year, if we do it right, Luxembourg and Paris will probably be the next two. But we're not just growing for growing. We don't have those metrics like, let's just grow 20 more people. We never publish a job offer for software engineers. We just meet people, and then we clicked. We realized that, you love what you do, so do we. Do you want to work with us? Do you want to spend some hours with us? And we take them through our interview process, and if they make it, they're happy with it, we're happy with them, and we start working with them. So, and we have a lot of people in Paris that want to join Hackages, but we don't have an office yet there. And they're not willing to move to another country because, they have families. And so, just for them, if everything goes well, we would just open an office in Paris or in Luxembourg.
Cool. So how do you find most of your customers? Is that through doing the meetup type hack jams?
So, that is it's a bit original. The approach is, it's quite, it wasn't thought out that way, but it ended up being like, we go to these evening sessions. You've been there. There are like 30 plus people, which means technically you have 30 or 20 plus companies represented in the room. And then all these people obviously will go back to work the day after. So if they spend an amazing moment, they're willing to share that with their colleagues the day after, with their employers. And then they will reach out to us saying, hey, the thing you did yesterday evening or that week, could you do that in our office? And that has been mainly the way for about 2.5 years that we acquire customers. And still today we still have calls from customers like, hey, yesterday I was at your event, you guys are knowledgeable, can you help us with XYZ? And that's the way we acquire customers. A year ago we also went through the traditional path, means that you hire a salesperson, and then that salesperson goes and finds customers by telling the story of what you've been doing. And that has also worked well, but I think the first way of doing it is it's more natural for us, because we're software engineers. We're not going to sell you bullshit. We're going to sell you we're going to solve real problems, not people coming and saying, hey, you have this performance issue and I know someone that can do that for you. No, we're going to do that for you first that evening. And then you understand that we can do that at scale. In your company.
Is there a typical size of the teams that you go and do your longer sessions with? Are they 1, 2, 5 team members? Or?
So we have a rule, a 1-6 rule. 1 mentor for 6 people. So if you have less than 6 people, you will still get 1 mentor from Hackages. If you have 7, we're gonna send you 2 mentors. Which means that technically as a company, if you have a pretty big company, we're gonna have to split them in smaller groups. Like we have one customer in Paris that has more than 20 people, and and a few engineers at Hackages travel to Paris every month, and in different batches to train them and pair program with them, coach them, and help them with their problem on daily basis. Yeah.
Is it more about prototypes and just abstract solutions to using the new techniques, or is it actually solving their actual product problems?
We actually dive into into their problem. We're not we are software engineer. We're building our soft product, so it's hands-on. We kind of go from a blank slate. We don't know your problem, so I'm just gonna pair program with you, which is a coaching session in a way, because I might know Angular pretty well, and I'm gonna be your Google search for a day.
Yeah.
So you might you have these issues, and I'm like, you have those issues, and I'm like, hey, let's try this.
Yeah.
You will have found that on Google, but yeah, I'm gonna give you a direct path to a possible solution. Even if it doesn't work, that's also the thing. Yeah. You're gonna find a solution on Google, it doesn't work, and I try something else. But I can condense that search in a few keywords, and then you try this, you try that, and then I realized that after doing the same thing with 3 different members of the team, then I can organize a training session of 2 hours to condense the knowledge. And then, I mean, you see what the thing is like, that gym membership kind of thing. It's like, I'm going to work with you today and another team member tomorrow. And then I realize a pattern, like they're lacking this knowledge.
I see.
Then I can put a quick 2-hour session the next day, like all of you, we go to that session. Then I kind of level up the skills, at least for that thing. And then I continue per programming with a thing. And then you repeat.
Okay.
That, yeah.
And how often is it that it's just before so let's say like us, we don't have a web app yet.
Yeah.
We're in the process of planning it and thinking about it and figuring out when it fits.
Yep.
Don't know which technology we're going to use. I'm leaning towards Vue.js at the moment, but React's not out. Angular's not out. I haven't made a decision.
Okay.
So let's say we went with React. Would that be something that you would do in coming in and doing a session with the people who are involved in the development and talking through the way we would do that with React? Or is it more you already have a React app and you've got specific problems?
Yeah. So that's a good question, because it actually, we go even earlier than that. Our process will be, depending on your situation, you will just say, okay, you're already started with React. Let's dive in. Let's show you, we're going to show you how to build a proper app with React. But last year, 2018, we had a lot of sessions where we built a thing called a carousel. You know, a carousel, the component.
Yeah.
You have multiple choice. I mean, not like sliding. Yeah. First slide, second slide, third slide. One slide is about one technology. It will be Vue.js, Angular, and React. So we can do that over 3 days. First day we go React. We actually build an app. So you just don't make a choice based on I read X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
We're going to spend a whole day building a proper app. You feel it. You write that code. You at ease with React. And then you're like, okay, that's the way I will do it. Then the day after, you just you build exactly the same app with Angular. It's not about the complexity. It's not about the app. It's about the technology. Third day, you go Vue.js. And then at the end of the third day, we do a quick recap, pros and cons. We bring our own opinion, depending on the size of your team, and you bring yours. But yours will be less biased because you work with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not a 1 week or 3 months project, but you have the feel of working with Angular, with React. Because we are mentors, we're going to make sure that you get the right bit right, and then get the right process of working with XYZ technology. And then at the end of the third day, we advise you on the route you should take, but it's up to you to decide. So that's what we call a carousel. It's one of the program we build for company to make a decision. We apply that also on mobile development. You want to go React Native, you want to go native Android, or so just put you a set of people around the room and they're gonna make workshop on every single technology, and you make the choice. We're gonna give you an advice based on the size of your team. Go Vue.js or go Angular based on the background of your team. You guys are Java developer. You want to go front end. Yeah, React's going to do the job, but you're a big team. You're already structured in a certain way, maybe Angular. And the funny thing is, the last technology, so we have, for example, 3 days. Angular, if React start first, most of the time, I mean, whatever technology start first and second, most of the time they don't make it. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like people are biased, like the last touch, like, okay, literally 100% of the time we end up with the last technology being chosen. And then we're like, okay, then we need to reverse the way we do the session. And sometimes we also, because it's not the same mentor that does the session. So you can also have that biases
their
coming from
bias. Yeah,
exactly. So each of them will come and sell you their stuff. But okay, at Hackages, they're gonna also take a step back saying, I'm not doing it for myself. I'm doing it for that team. Yeah. But you still end up in that thing like, oh, Vue was the last one. And people felt like it was easier. But yeah, it was easier because you struggle with the thing. The first day, you didn't even know what was the app about. Second day, you discover another technology, but you have still a vague idea of what the app is about. And the third day, you've done Angular or you've done JavaScript for 2 days. Now you feel more confident. You know the problem to solve. Then you went really fast and you feel like that's the technology you need to choose.
Nice.
So it's a pretty great experience, and the feedback. They've been amazing, and that's also a way for us to acquire customers, because we sometimes we just offer that service. It's like, no, you don't have to choose us. Even after that training, we will just tell you, you know what? Our job is to give you the right tool or the right decision process, making process. Then from there, you decide. If you want to work with us on leveling up your team and knowledge, we go with you. Otherwise, there are plenty of people out there that can also do the job. But at least you make the right choice for your situation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I really like, because the mentors know the React way to do it and the Angular way to do it and the Vue way to do it, then it's a much better system than, say, I watch a tutorial on one, and then I go basically try to do in Angular the React way. So knowing the right way for each framework, and being able to give that knowledge to the people from the beginning while they're redoing that and avoiding those issues, which I'm pretty sure I built an Angular app the jQuery way at one point, so obviously
Indeed.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure everybody has done something like that. So, that's a really nice way to avoid that issue and help make a decision. I like that.
Hopefully more people get to know, that, because, most of companies out there will just come and say, we have Angular developers, just use Angular. But what is my real problem? And what are my developers' backgrounds, and how can I make sure that whatever I choose works for them really well?
Are you seeing any kind of specific pattern of like the typically companies with less than this many people in the team have chosen one of those, or
So yeah, what do we saw, for example, like a team of four to five? No, like I would say 3 to 6. I'm thinking 3 to 6. It's weird. They most of the time they go React and Vue.js. But when you have a bigger team, they start fighting over best practices out of the gate. What should we do? How can we do testing? How can we do X, Y, Z? And then Angular appears to be the winner there. Because even if the people within the team they know React or Vue.js, they will say, or React mostly, they will say, for the well-being of the team, let's go Angular because we have a structure out of the box. We're not going to fight about all these patterns and stuff like that. They're part of the community. We don't think about it. Just use whatever the community provides you, and the documentation out there they're awesome. So, like one of the customer I mentioned in France, there's a huge team and they do Angular everywhere, but internally you have a fight. People want to use React. They want to use pre-React. So you have the internal fight, and then they're like, oh, have you heard about web component? It's like, no, let's stop the fight. Angular can help you build web component, which means that you don't see Angular anymore as a framework to build a web app. No, you see Angular as a tool to build UI. And then those UI components, you can use them in your React or Vue.js or in another Angular application, because that's what the tooling around Angular is providing you today. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you just want to make sure that people are at ease with whatever decision they take, saying, well, you're a big team. You will mostly end up writing the same data date picker like 3 times. No, you don't need that. You can use whatever technology you feel at ease with, but make sure that you turn that into a web component. And then that web component is JavaScript, CSS, HTML. End of the story. There is no React, whatever Angular involved. Then you can reuse that anywhere else. So that's also a way to flatten that discussion. But once again, to your point, it's the size of the team matter a lot. Like in that decision, like once again, we had that team that just said, we love React, but we probably don't have time to go into building all the patterns for ourselves. Let's just use Angular, and yeah.
Okay, cool. So, what has been the journey of the Hackages company? So, from when you started, from a business person type of perspective, what's it like this is your first startup? Is that right?
No, it's not the first one. Okay. So Hackages is my third attempt of building a company. The first one was a sport app. Like, I'm a sporty person and I wanted to play basketball everywhere I would go. I was working as a consultant, so I built an app that could help me find basketball court in real time. The real time part is mostly, are there people playing there right now? That app failed badly. I actually got a lot of customers using it at some point, but didn't find a way to monetize it. So stopped with it. And then in late 2014, I started what is Hackages today, but it was through another company called Philos. So providing evening workshop. It wasn't planned. To me, it was just, I want to spend time coding with people in the evening, but it turned out to be like the people wanted more by day. So that was Philos. For about a year and a half, I was on my own, but I got a co-founder, and I just didn't know what it means to have a co-founder. I was like, hey, you seem nice. You can have 1/3 of the company, because I had another friend of mine who was my co-founder who had 1/3 of the company, but that who left at some point. So we ended up being the two of us. I was like, you take 50, I take 50. But things didn't work out. We just split apart, and we realized that this thing's not gonna work because one is putting more energy into the company than the other. Then I left. For 1 year, I just gave him the company, like, you can keep it. And then I went on and built Hackages. So when I started Hackages, one of the things that I learned from the two previous things is the first company was like, first lesson, get a team. You're not Superman. Yeah. I could do design. I could do, programming, but you're not doing sales. You're not doing all those things that are actually equally important, even more important. So, from Philos, the second company, what I learned is, now that you know you're gonna need a co-founder, take someone that is willing to work probably as hard as you are. And I believe he was, but we just didn't match in that sense. So then when I started Hackages, I don't give 50% out of the box. No, you don't do that. You don't know the person. I never met him before. And he was really cool, really, thoughtful. And I thought, like, yeah, that guy's gonna help me on the business side. And that didn't work out. So when I started Hackages, I gave, a friend of mine recommended me his brother to help me out with all the admin stuff. That's the part that I hate about starting.
So paperwork makes my eyes just glaze over. I absolutely, every time I sit down to do any kind of paperwork that I don't consistently do, I feel like I've just sat down for a very important test in school that I not only didn't study for, but forgot to go to the class the entire year. Yeah. I just show up to the final exam and I'm like, I'd rather code for 40 hours in a row than do one.
We're two on that boat. I hate the paperwork part. So the guy.
It's because paperwork doesn't have a compiler.
You're right. That is completely right. How could we? You just gave me an idea of like a company, a product that I can build.
Well, that's what you do for one of your hack jams: is get the students to build
that. Yeah. How do you automate that part? Oh, I'm not kidding. Actually, I had the idea was to build a startup, like a product, not a startup. Build a product that will automate all that change. And if you say, I want to build a company that will do just, you register on that app and you give the name of the company, it checks that online. Like, does that exist? No, it's yours. You want it? Then accept, move to the next thing. How many, paper XYZ? You just answer a few questions and there you go. You're good to go. Really, I thought about that part, but, you gotta focus at some point. And, it's part of my to-do list. And then Hackages. And then I got co-founder, was the friend of a friend. No, it's a brother of one of my friends. And my friend told me, he's really into all these things. He can help you with the paper part and he does sales as well. I was like, oh, that's a good combo. Let me talk to him. And, I had met him before. And then when he arrived, I told him like, you know what? I'm going to pay you $2,000 per month. I'll give you, we started by saying I'm going to give you like as a freelance, like €400 per day, to help me out with the thing. And then once you're done, I can get things rolling. I think 5 days in, he came back to me saying, okay, now I kind of understand what you're trying to build with Hackages. I'm going to quit my job. I want to be part of that. So that was actually a big testament. Like someone's like realizing the potential of what you're building, especially because he came to our hack jam and then he realized that you don't need a sale. Look at all these people. They love the thing. They're enjoying that part. So, you got to count me in. So I decided to I told him like, okay, let me give you 2K net salary per month plus a company car, and like that's a Belgium package you usually give to employees, and then I give you 10% of the company, not 50%. Don't do that again. And so I learned from my lesson at that moment. So he took 10% of the company, but the day we were incorporating the company at the bank, they told me something like, well, if you want that your co-founder to have access to the bank account and every single thing, it needs to have at least 25% of the company. That was a weird thing, but I was like, it's not 50%, it's 25. So it's not a big deal. I still have 3/4 of the company. So a few days went by. I gave him 25%. We incorporated the company. We started rolling. But he didn't know anything about business. Not business, but like IT and all things. So it was a 3 to 4 months learning bootcamp for him. And we hired our first 2 engineers the day we signed the company. So they were just waiting for us to incorporate it. And so as a software engineer already managing all this stuff, I kind of spend less time coding, but managing a few things. So in December 2016, we got approached by investors. They're like, oh, we love your company. We love what you've been doing. It's a consultancy company that sees us as a way for them to attract talent to their office. And then they can pitch their thing. And then, I say, oh, Hackages is part of our company. So if you want to work for Hackages, we can hire you. But it was just to send you into consultancy and make a lot of money. And with that, providing you a proper learning program, which was the core thing for me. Like, I want my employees to be well paid and to have an amazing learning program. And they put a lot of money on the table. They were like, we want to either acquire you or build or take a chunk of your company or buy a franchise from Hackages that we can operate out of France. Because we were Belgium-based and they were like French-based company. All the options seemed pretty okay. We were willing to go in one of the direction. But then my co-founder realized that, holy crap, am I allowed to say that?
Sure.
I realized
I mark all these explicit, just so I don't have to worry about what I said.
Okay. And he thought, this is real. Like, we're really into a company where people are willing to put money. We're making slightly bit of money. And that night we were in Paris. We met those investors. And after that night, we went to do a hack jam. We were in Paris for a hack jam. So we met them on our way to the hack jam. And then we went back to the hotel that evening. I think you met him in Dublin. He was here in Dublin with us. And then he was shocked. He didn't say a word. Then, on our way back to Brussels the day after, he told me, he broke the silence and then he said, I need more share of the company. And I was like, if you give me a good argument, and you tell me how much you want, then we talk. And then he said, I know it's your idea. Like, okay, yeah. He raises my idea, but it's not really about the idea itself. But I think it will be fair for me to have 60% and he will have 40%. And I was like, yeah, so what are the arguments? Because the fairness part of it, I don't get it. So give me numbers, give me something. So we start talking about his involvement, like he quit his job and stuff like that. I'm like, but you quit your job. You get a salary, you got everything, you get part of the company. So I still don't get that. So give me all those arguments. And it wasn't able to completely give me, like proper reasons. And then I told him, you know what? We were actually struggling financially speaking. So I was like, we need money. we need money to pay salaries at the end of January. And I'm gonna either sell 5% of the company to that other company, or we just have to do something. Otherwise, at the end of January, we're out of the market. We were actually planning to be in Dublin that end of January. We were in Dublin end of January 2017 together, and we were already in that fight. Like, no, you don't take money from those people unless he gives his approval. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm the majority stakeholder at the company, and if we go bankrupt, I'm gonna suffer more than you will. And moreover, you're talking about, you made some sacrifice by joining a company. I've been building that thing for about 2 years before you joined. So people didn't just show up at a meetup in Dublin. Yeah, I've been building that before you even realized that you will be part of that company. So it was probably selfish on my side, but fundamentally, I think I thought he wasn't honest in that part. It hurt me a lot, and I started defending myself. Like, you want to crush me? Fine, you're gonna have to go really hard on this, because I'm not willing to give up on anything. So. Yeah, we're still in court today. We've been in court for almost. We're going into the 3rd year now, so it's pretty slow process. So I still don't. On the court, he came up with a lot of lies, but that's okay. I take that. I made a lot of mistake as well, because look, I'm just giving you a scenario. He has 25% of the company. So the company started in end of September 2016. So in January, we're 4 months in. And he asked me, like, when I told him I don't want that thing to go on, let's just split and I'm going to buy up your shares. And he told me, well, give me a number. I'm like, I don't have a number. Maybe we can find something there. I remember I told you at the beginning, like, it was 400 euro per day. Let's multiply that by the number of effective days you worked at the company. I'm giving you even the Saturdays, because as an entrepreneur, there is no vacation.
Yeah.
So I'm giving you the Saturdays as well. So I round up the thing around 77K, which is a lot of money when you think about 4 months of work. But I'm like, okay, it's probably the price I need to pay to move on with my company. And then he came back to me saying, no, it's going to be 250K. And I was like, where is that number coming from? So he went from this equation as a startup that is in this space, that is, has this potential. It's right. But at the same time, like, don't you think you're trying to abuse this situation? And fast forward 2 years later, he's willing to settle at 50K. So I'm like, what happened in between? Can someone tell me why we go from 250K to 50K? So there's this weird thing, and so we're still in court today. I lost the first part of the in court, because in one of my email when we were exchanging, I gave him my agreement for 77K, because we went from 250 to 77. And then I was like, okay, you take it or you leave it. And you say, okay, if you agree on that, we move on from there. I say, yes, I agree. But in court, yeah, that is a kind of agreement you give by email. But the day I gave that agreement, I was burying my grandfather. And I was like, I don't want to hear about anything. Take that money, leave. But I didn't have that money. That's the problem. I was like, I'm going to find a way to get you that money, but I don't want you to be around anymore. I just want to keep building packages. And, so because of that email, I lost the first time in court. They said, yeah, you gave your agreement. So, but then I'm like, okay, I gave my agreement, but could you look into the detail, the data, the financial data and stuff like that? My personal situation. And then the second appeal, I won, and now we're on the third one. When they said now we have to do a financial expertise just for the first year of the company, knowing that during the first year I put my money, I borrow money that I inject into the company to keep it afloat. So if they come back saying you're gonna still have to pay him 50K, I'm like, no, it's wrong. I had to put more than 100K that year to keep the company afloat. So there is no way. Yeah. So that's the situation. It was hard. It was really hard, and I would advise anyone out there to really think twice before choosing a co-founder.
Well, it's definitely, and not just co-founder, any shareholder who has voting rights. So you need to consider that. But also, when you're making agreements, make sure that both parties or all three parties or however many people have enough stake in the company to feel like it's theirs. Not saying you made a mistake with the 25%. That could be plenty for some people, but you need to, that happens a lot when one co-founder or one early owner feels like they took one number, one percentage, and then they feel like they're doing more than what value they've gotten for it. So it's really hard to figure that out. And then even more if you start to take investments, that then as your percentages start to go down, obviously the shares are less, but the value is more.
More, yeah.
Well, hopefully.
Hopefully you go that direction, yeah.
But, as everybody shares start to, because you never have more than day one. Unless you start with somebody and they go away and somehow you get it back. But in general, your shares only go down, or your percentage of ownership goes down.
Yeah.
The more investors. So you have to make sure that, you don't dilute one of the key people out to where you end up with legal problems. Yeah. So, there's no good answer. Even with somebody you never know.
Yeah.
Because
at least you start from, you have more data about the person than, that person looks pretty capable. Let me just have let me give him some shares, and then we see.
But still, there is something that I think can become primal about startups, in that if you've come from a day job to your first startup, it is the most fight or flight. It's the most risk you've probably ever seen related to business.
True.
And, deep down inside, we're all trying to survive, right? It's the lizard brain from hundreds of thousands of years ago, right? So you get that where you start to, I'm mostly talking about myself and seeing it, that I can understand how I'm putting everything into this and I'm not going to get anything out of it. Not that that's actually true in a lot of cases, but I can totally understand how that can happen, which is why it's so common for issues like what you've had to, happen to other people, especially not having worked with people in really stressful situations. I think that myself, I'm extremely lucky to have already worked with Julie, but you never know what's going to happen. When money starts to get tight, which it will at some point.
Or the other way around. When money started flooding into the company, then people start realizing like, okay, I've been putting way too much. Now let me get a big cut of the cake. That also can cause a lot of friction as well. That's an interesting story, and definitely something anybody who's considering starting something with others should hear. Indeed.
Appreciate you telling us about that. That's sure. I'm sure that there was a huge emotional burden on there. Not just trying to build a company is stressful.
No, but on the business side, because you mentioned, I went on mostly on the collaboration with a business partner. But business-wise, I mentioned the way we were able to attract customers, and then as the company grew, you realize that it's not anymore a four people operation. Mm-hmm. You get into a 10 people operation. Should I hire HR? Okay, no, maybe we need a sales right now. So you start thinking about like more business oriented, and that also brings a lot of challenges. Which engineers, are you sure you got the right engineers? And you sure your interview process is well oiled to get the right people on board? It is. Yeah, the learning is infinite. I don't know how to describe that. You might have had the same experience. Yep. But I'm so grateful for that. So many sleepless nights. I'm not bragging about that. It's not a good thing, but at the end of the day, you wake up and you're like, okay, we've been doing a lot of things, and it's just the beginning, and just keep pushing and pushing. But maybe the main advice there was don't burn out. Yeah,
that's a big one.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's what every time. So, we worked. We released the iOS version. It's like, all right, we're at the starting line. And then we worked and acquired users. And it's like, all right, we have enough users. We're at the starting line.
Yeah. I like that one.
Work. And then we get an Android out. We're at the starting line.
Yeah.
So it's like climbing the mountain and finally tipping over the peak to see that that's really just base camp. Over and over and over.
Indeed, I like that picture there. It's indeed the same thing. Like, let's release that feature. It's out there. Okay. What's next? Because you're like, okay, you at which level are you? None. Just starting a new one. Is like, and there is this thing about being a founder and coming up with 100 of ideas per day to keep things afloat, to keep things going, even though there is a roadmap. I don't know how you handle that in your company, but making sure that
not well. Wow. I am not amazing at longer term planning, especially because I find software development time estimation impossible.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you find the same?
It is impossible. I always get it wrong.
Always.
Till today. And people should stop asking how long this will take. No. You don't know. We were building a project at Hackages, like a mobile app for non-tech people to learn tech. And I was like, that thing's going to take me a week. It's been 6 weeks now.
Yeah.
Why? Because there are impediments you have to deal with, and it could be human factor. It could be a platform, React Native, that doesn't give us the right result. It could be a lot of stuff, and you never know. Yeah.
I find it like putting together a toy model, but all you can do is look at the box and there's no text on it to tell you how many pieces are inside, and trying to say how long it will take you to put that toy car together.
Yeah.
I guess about 2 hours.
Yeah.
And you open it up and there's 5 million pieces.
Yeah.
It's going to take you a lot longer. It's because there's so many unknowns that you can't actually know until you start to dig into them.
Yeah.
At least for me, I've started trying to double my original estimate. I've also heard that one much better way to do it is a range. So that first number you come up with, between that and some other number.
What has been the pattern for you so far?
I'm just never right. It's never early.
Okay.
I continually try to break it down into smaller and smaller pieces to estimate, but then there's always, you know more after you've started than you could have known before you started. So, if we do this, it'll make this bit easier later. This feature wasn't something we thought we needed now, but it's actually more important than the other bits. until we actually implemented this in the database. We didn't know we actually needed a new index that we have to process across 9 million records, and that's going to take 3 days.
Yeah.
And if we try to do anything else on this before then everything will go slow for everyone. So let's not do that. There's so many.
There's always something. Yeah.
So still working on it.
Yeah.
I think one of the problems is we're not a big team, but we're still a team. We've got a number of hands that have to touch something before it's shipped.
Okay.
So anytime there is a handover, there's a risk for having to do rework. And that's what we're in the process of trying to eliminate, making sure that we have better kickoff meetings. So when we're going to develop a feature or an element within the product, that the designer's there, we talk through how it should work. We talk through what it means to data. We talk through what it means in the mobile app, what it means in the API.
Yep.
Have we considered all of the elements that we're going to be asked questions about related to analytics on it? So trying to do that. And then when actually doing handover, trying to do them more with video chats as opposed to Slack messages.
Yeah.
Because there's a little bit too much room for interpretation.
With the Slack, yeah.
Do a little bit more screen sharing of, okay, so I've got this, doing it this way. Here's a copy of, a results returned by the API. Here's a query. I mean, those are the types of things we're trying to do more of. But it's. I'm not sure if it's worse than paperwork, but it's. I think it is paperwork, though.
Yeah, it's. I think it's about trying. It's about trying to get the like when you have more like a remote friendly company in a way. You have and I will sit with the engineers and like trying to sketch something. We always get it wrong, but always trying to do again. You do it again till the moment you feel like, oh, that one was good. No, it wasn't. And but there is a business. We have the managing director in Belgium who is also leading the sales team. She will always come up like, how long this thing will take? I don't know. It's a program. We need to design it from scratch. Yeah, can I have it for no? And she's right, because she thinks like, oh, since we've done that for other already, like so then it might just be easier these times. Like, nope. Sometimes you just have to think first about the context, that new context, and then go through the process of like estimating the thing, and you will get it wrong. That's okay.
I guess the other thing to consider is that when people do their estimations, they're often thinking of the optimal week where they actually get to spend 40 to 50 hours.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
As opposed to all the other things that pop up. And, oh, I didn't know the website was going to be down, so that took a day. I didn't know that we were going to have to do this upgrade to this portion of the infrastructure to prevent some, hack because of CVE that was just released. So, I mean, there are just so many things that I don't know. I don't like that part, and I'm terrible at it. So that's a pattern with me. If I'm not good at it, I usually don't like it.
Wow.
There are a few things that I'm not good at that I like,
but apparently it's sometimes as the people mention, are you starting a company? Yeah. You're gonna have to do things you don't like. Like, I'm gonna delegate that to someone else. And then you realize that you can't. Some of them you just can't delegate, but you need to go through it. And I learned that the hard way. And today I was able to delegate a few things, but there are things you just can't delegate to people. I don't have to put it out there. I'm not a big fan of managing people, but I'm the engineering manager. And I have to make sure that their learning plan, their career plans, and all these things are straight. And if you don't do that, they have like 100 of job offered every month. So, and the companies out there are willing to do that job. And you need to be there and listen. And I have to say again, I don't enjoy that. but I have to do it. Yeah. And that I can't delegate. Yeah, I can delegate the finance. I can delegate when you started. I know you love finance and all the stuff. You can delegate that. You can delegate a few things that I had to do when the company was starting. Community management, marketing and stuff. Then as the company grows, you delegate that part. You don't delegate people management, especially at the engineering level, if you're an engineering manager. And but yeah, got to learn how to do it.
I'm lucky that I've gotten such good people that it's an easy job. I can't say that I'm definitely doing it well, but they seem to be performing well and seem happy. So hopefully we can keep that going.
Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge for you at the moment, or biggest couple of challenges?
So that sales process that I talk about at the beginning, saying we go to events and then they bring us business. When you're like a 5-10 people company, that works fine. You have enough inbound. But then when you're like 30 people operation, that doesn't work as much. So you got to find ways to innovate around that. So we've been trying a lot of things. One of the things we tried was like, as a developer, if I tell my manager that I need a training in React, they don't know what you're talking about. Maybe if you tell them that you're going to solve XYZ problem that speaks their language, then you tell them that tool, doesn't matter the name, will help me get there, will probably be a better way to introduce my problem. So we start building a way for non-tech people, managers, POs, to understand the tech jargon. So because we thought that will also make it easier for managers out there to send their employees to the right training because they understand better the ecosystem. That hasn't worked really well. We hire sales people to help us ramp up the sales machine, but it's still at the early age. We're seeing some stuff, but at the same time, part of Hackages became kind of a consultancy company, which is fine based on what we do, because we train people, but at the same time our trainers are also engineers in the field, so they know the problems and they work on our internal product as well, so they understand the thing. But the more they go out there and then they deliver high quality product, the more we look like a consultancy, like a 100% consultancy company. Sure. So you want to distance from that, because a lot of our customers are consultancy companies as well. Yeah. So you don't want to get into that clash where your customer think you're their competitor. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So we're there in that blurred line and stuff like that. So a way for me to solve that problem is just by saying, let's deploy a new website that basically highlights Hackages as a training company. That's what we do. Let's make sure that people know that they can come to us with those programs. And then, as we've been doing it lately, let's just make sure that people know that we can help them on the coaching part, because that's how we got into the consultancy thing. But it's still early age. We deploy already all those tools, so we're now gathering data to understand if that works. So yeah, positioning is probably the main issue there, because even employees are also asking, where are we? So you have that positioning issue. That is important. Then another way for me to also solve that is to make sure that the company becomes even more visible than it is right now. What I mean by that is, we know each other because you saw me. We met during an event that I was coaching, I was mentoring. That is being visible. We wouldn't be sitting cross table right now. So, but if I just shoot a name like Dan Abramov. What comes in mind?
I don't know that.
You don't know that name. Okay. Yeah, I don't know in which space I can. Like, he's a well-known guy in the React community.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
He's visible. What I mean by visible, he's a software engineer. If you speak to him, he will tell you like, yeah, I'm a software engineer. I don't even probably know more than you do. But the thing is like, because I work in a visible, like highly visible project, which is React, and then I communicate, I'm an evangelist, then you know about me. And you want to work with me, or you want to come to my training, you want to be part of that training space my space. So I'm like, if those guys were able to put that out, why can't we? So I'm building a platform where I can highlight the work of those engineers, put them out there on the map as well, because they're also doing amazing job. All the training they're providing around the world, around Europe at the moment. Yeah, if more people were to know about it, the more visible they will be, and the more business that will bring to the company. But on top of that, our customer that might end up seeing us as competitor will just understand that, well, it's a byproduct of us providing training that we end up helping customers with their problems, and not our first intention when we go to customers. So I'm just making sure that the way to solve that problem is one of the ways to make the engineer more visible. And then from there, we see how it goes. So there are a lot of things there. The product is called Hackflix. Probably told you about that already. Yeah. And this is, we see how it goes.
Yeah, I'll stick all that and your contact details in the show notes so that people can find it.
Great.
So what would you tell people to do? So call to action for the listeners. Check out Hackflix.
So there's Hackflix so Hackflix, like, am I allowed to say
HACKFLIX.DEV.
DEV, Hackflix. I was about to give a name that is well known in the industry. Then I'm like, it is X for tech content. No, we're not going that route. But you know what I'm talking about. And there is Hackages, HACKAGES.io. But depending on the country you're in, you might be like .be for Belgium, .nl for Netherlands. We have them all. So if we provide trainings in your country, you might just type .de for Germany. It really depends.
Sure.
Yeah.
And how can people reach you? Are you on Twitter or LinkedIn?
Twitter works wonder. Davy at Davy Engone. So DAVYENGONE. So Davy Engone in one word. Yeah. Okay. That's my Twitter account.
Great. I'll put that and links to all the other sites on the show notes, like I said, and then it'll be on the website, and I'll share that out. So, okay. Great. Thank you so much for joining us. And,
that was nice.
And I'm sure we'll do this again sometime.
Yeah, sure. Thanks
again.
And
thank you all for listening. Until next time, remember, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.